Most people wasting thousands of hours watching YouTube videos, Netflix, and other things like that in a foreign language, trying to learn the language, are making one huge mistake. They're convinced that if they just listen enough and watch enough videos, consume enough content, one day fluency will magically happen. And it won't. And if you're doing this right now, you're probably not getting fluent, ever. You're just getting frustrated and you're going to fail. You're just going to keep failing and keep getting frustrated. Here's why comprehensible input doesn't work the way you think it does. Most people love the idea of learning through input because it feels easy. You're watching movies, listening to podcasts, reading articles. It feels like you're making progress. But what you're really doing is reviewing. Input is for reviewing what you already know, not for learning new things from scratch. You can't review what you never learned. And that's the trap. Language learners who think comprehensible input is the only thing they need live in this fantasy world where they think they'll just pick the language up naturally. But the truth is, unless you already know enough vocabulary to make the input actually comprehensible, you're just guessing. And when you're guessing, you're not learning. People spending thousands of hours of comprehensible input and basically making no progress at all. They don't know enough words, so the brain is doing mental gymnastics just to keep up. And it's so efficient. It's a massive waste of time. And I get it. It's seductive. The idea that you can get fluent just by watching shows and listening to stuff while you make no effort at all, learning the lazy way. You just have to look at how many YouTubers have these kind of videos, just learn the lazy way. The idea is very seductive, but unfortunately it doesn't work. But of course, people want to believe that because it's easy, it's fun. But you don't get good at things by doing only what's fun and easy. You get good at things by doing hard things, doing the hard work. And that's why input-only learners are stuck, and they will never become fluent. They just don't want to do the work. But let me tell you one thing. Nobody ever got fluent in a language by just consuming it passively. That's not how fluency works. And no, watching Netflix with subtitles in your target language won't make you fluent. It will never happen. It will help you recognize some words, and you will understand a little bit more if you keep doing it for hundreds of hours, but that's it. It won't help you speak better, and it definitely won't teach you enough vocabulary and fast enough to be able to understand and speak the language. If you do it for thousands of hours, eventually you will understand. But your speaking will still be crap. But what if instead of Netflix shows, you watch beginner videos in the language? You binge watch YouTube videos for beginners in the language you're trying to learn. A lot of people do this, and they keep doing this for years and years while staying more or less at the same level. You start watching beginner videos, and you keep watching beginner videos, and a year, 2 years, 3 years from now, you're still watching the same beginner videos from the same Learn Spanish channel. Because that way of learning is extremely slow. Extremely slow and extremely time consuming. And the problem with that kind of content is that it's extremely dumbed down and slow. So when you actually try to listen to native speaker content, you feel like you don't know anything because it's so difficult in comparison. So you'll get discouraged and you'll go back to the beginner videos and you'll watch another 1,000 hours of that the next 3 years. And you'll be stuck there forever. So what should you do instead? Here's what you could do. First, try to learn as many words as possible. That's the foundation. If you don't know the words, you have nothing. You can't understand or speak the language. Everything else is a waste of time if you don't know the words. Start with frequency lists and use mnemonics. Learn the most important vocab. Most important verbs first, and then the adjectives, and finally the nouns. Memorize them with mnemonics, and then review them with example sentences over and over again until you know the first 1,000 or 2,000 most common words in the language. That alone will be really helpful when it comes to understanding native speaker content, so you can skip the thousands of hours of beginner videos. When you memorize all the common verbs, adjectives, and nouns, and listen to them in example sentences over and over again, suddenly input becomes much more comprehensible. It actually starts working. You'll start recognizing words, connecting the meaning, seeing the grammar in context, and with a lot of repetition with the same sentences, you'll very quickly learn all the grammar and all the vocab and understand the language relatively well. Then you can jump to native speaker content. You can see that I'm not really against input. I think input is important. It's essential, actually. It's just not enough on its own. It has to be strategic. You can't just hope it works. Just listen to the language, watch the language, and hope it works. No, you need to make it work by doing it in a smart way. And most importantly, you have to speak. You can't get good at speaking without speaking practice, period. It doesn't matter how many videos you've watched. If you haven't trained your mouth to produce the language, you will freeze when you have to actually speak it with native speakers. You will hesitate, you will stutter, you will sound awkward if you actually say something at all, and that will be really frustrating. And I know it's not the most fun thing to do, but if you want to get good at speaking, you have to do a lot of speaking on your own. If you do a lot of shadowing, a lot of listening and repeating, a lot of active recall with feedback, exercises like the 4-3-2, the Q&A, or your language islands, you will be able to speak much more confidently and fluently. Those who continue watching YouTube videos instead of practicing the speaking skills will continue to fail. They will continue to freeze, mumble, hesitate, even after thousands of hours of Spanish with Javier. So yes, get a lot of input, listen to the language as much as you can, but do targeted input first, learn all the high-frequency verbs, adjectives, and nouns, and of course your language islands, and then do a lot of speaking exercises as well. It's not about input alone. Input is just one piece of the puzzle. If you want to try this method, you can check the link in the description to try my 7-day challenge to learn 150 conversation sentences in a week. It's free.